By 6:15, Harbor Market smelled of salt, bleach, diesel, and the first pot of coffee burning somewhere near the loading doors. Maya Carter stood behind Harbor Fresh Seafood with both hands buried in a bed of crushed ice. Her blue apron was dark at the waist where water had soaked through. She shifted 2 striped bass, checked the eyes for cloudiness, then reached for a tray of blue crabs. The compressor beneath the display case gave a hard metallic knock. Maya froze. It hummed again, lower this time. "Don't start," she whispered, pressing her palm against the stainless steel. A woman in a raven sweatshirt leaned over the counter. "Maya, can you put me down for 2 pounds of whiting? I get paid Thursday." Maya glanced toward the clipboard under the register. The woman's name already filled 3 lines. "Thursday," Maya said. "For real this time. You know I'm good for it. I know you've got 3 teenagers." "That too." Maya wrapped the fish. Across the aisle, Ruth Jackson snorted while arranging oysters at her own stall. "You owe your supplier, but somehow everybody in Baltimore has credit with you." "Morning to you too, Miss Ruth." "I'm serious. So is hunger." Before Ruth could answer, Maya's phone buzzed beside the scale. A message from Isaiah Reed lit the screen. "Need the balance from last Friday. Call me before noon." Maya turned the phone face down. An older woman approached with a small purse tucked under her arm. She counted $11 onto the counter and asked for a whole porgy. "The small one," she said. "My grandson's coming after school." The fish she pointed to cost $16. Maya slid it into a bag anyway. The woman noticed. "Baby, I don't have the rest." "I heard you." "Maya. Bring me 5 next week." After she left, Ruth shook her head. "You're lending out kindness while the lights over your own head are flickering." The compressor knocked again. Maya smiled without looking up. "People can't wait for my books to balance before they eat." A man in a charcoal jacket appeared at the counter. He carried a large envelope and wore the careful expression of someone who expected trouble. Maya Carter? Her first thought was the health department. Then taxes. Then the renewal paperwork she had mailed late. "Yes? Can I confirm your full name?" Ruth stopped moving. The man checked Maya's identification, asked her to sign, and handed over the envelope. He did not explain. He only said, "You've been served," then walked toward the market entrance. The return address belonged to the circuit court. Cold moved through Maya's fingers, though her hands were no longer in the ice. She opened the envelope. Daniel Carter's name appeared first. Petitioner. Hers appeared below it. Respondent. The words blurred, cleared, then arranged themselves into sentences she understood too well. Daniel wanted the marriage dissolved. He claimed she had failed to adjust to his professional life. He described Harbor Fresh as unstable and burdened by debt. He alleged an inappropriate emotional relationship with Isaiah Reed. Then Maya found the paragraph about the house. Daniel wanted possession. Tasha came from the back room carrying invoices. What happened? Maya gave her the papers. Tasha read 2 pages and swore. Ruth reached for her phone. "I'm calling him." "No." Maya's voice came out flat. "He filed this and sent a stranger to your job. Don't call him." Maya looked down at her hands. The skin around her knuckles had split from years of ice, salt, and winter mornings. Daniel had once held those hands between both of his and promised that one day he would give back everything she had poured into him. She closed the petition. A customer pointed toward the red snapper. "How much a pound?" Maya opened her mouth. Nothing came out. 7 years earlier, Daniel Carter had not been a lawyer. He was a law student working weekends behind her seafood counter. And Maya was still young enough to believe that building one person's future meant building a life together. 7 years earlier, Daniel Carter spent Saturdays behind Maya's counter in a borrowed apron that never fit. He was in his final year of law school, lean from missed meals and too little sleep. On weekdays, he attended classes and worked in the library. On weekends, he hauled ice, cleaned fish, and carried crates through Harbor Market for whatever Maya could afford to pay. They had known each other since the old neighborhood, though knowing someone as a teenager was different from watching him arrive at 4:30 in the morning without complaining. Daniel worked hard, He also paid attention. One Saturday, a delivery truck dropped off 6 boxes of oysters and frozen fillets. Maya signed the invoice, then opened them. 2 were underweight. 1 smelled sour. The driver leaned against the truck. That's what was ordered. That's not what came, Maya said. He tapped the invoice. You signed. Daniel stepped closer. She signed for receipt, not acceptance. The driver looked him over. Who are you? The guy who cleaned your leaking boxes off the floor. Daniel, Maya warned. He pulled the supplier agreement from beneath the register and found a marked paragraph. Inspection happens after delivery. Rejected product gets documented and credited. The driver's jaw tightened. That doesn't mean what you think. Then call your office. For 20 minutes, the driver argued, made 2 calls, and paced beside the truck. In the end, he loaded the spoiled box back up and corrected the invoice. When he left, Maya stared at the new total. That was almost a month's profit. Daniel reached for the mop. Good thing you keep your paperwork. Most people saw the market as noise. Daniel noticed where money leaked. Maya noticed people. She knew whose husband had been laid off and which family needed extra portions tucked into a bag. She kept ginger tea under the counter for Ruth's bad knee. She knew when to charge full price and when to ignore a missing dollar. The stall had belonged to her father. After he died, relatives told her to sell it before grief became debt. Maya kept it. She still used his dented stockpot for crab soup. The recipe he had sworn would someday make their family name famous. Late one evening, after the gates came down, she poured the last bowl for Daniel. He tasted it, then stopped. What? This is ridiculous. Maya reached for the bowl. Give it back. No. Why are you selling raw fish when you could sell this? She nodded toward a narrow corridor behind the market. There's a small kitchen back there. The owner wants too much. You asked? 3 times. How close are you? Closer when nobody needs tuition. He lowered his spoon. Maya. She smiled. Eat. By then, she had stopped pretending his walks home were only practical. A week later, Daniel brought her an email from the school. Part of his scholarship had been cut. Final term fees and internship costs were due within weeks. If he stepped away, he might wait another year to return. I'll take the semester off, he said. Work full-time. Maya read every page. Did you talk to financial aid? Yes. Payment plan? Not enough time. How many more hours can you work? Maybe 10. More than that and I'll fall behind. What's the exact amount? Daniel opened his backpack and laid out the statements, emails, and forms. Every number sat between them under the fluorescent light. Lorraine had already said she could not help. Maya checked the total against the savings account on her phone. Daniel saw the account name. Harbor Table Fund. No. I haven't said anything. You're thinking it. That's my business. That's your kitchen. Maya looked toward the dark corridor where the empty space waited. I'm not buying your dream, she said. I'm helping you reach a door you already worked for. I can't let you empty that account. We'll build it back. In yours? You finish first, then we do mine. He held her gaze. Both dreams. Both. He made her say it again before she transferred the money. Afterward, Maya opened the account. The balance beside Harbor Table Fund had fallen so low it looked like a mistake. She closed the app and slipped the phone into her pocket. For the first time, her father's kitchen felt farther away. Still, Daniel's fees were paid, and Maya believed the distance would only be temporary. They married 6 months later in a small brick church near Harbor Market. Maya paid for the hall, the food, and most of the flowers. Daniel borrowed a suit and spent the night before the wedding repairing a cracked cabinet in her apartment. You can do that tomorrow, Maya said. A husband shouldn't move in and leave things broken. For a while, that was how their marriage worked. Daniel fixed what he could. Maya covered what money could. He attended classes during the day and worked as a research assistant at night. Maya unlocked Harbor fresh at 4 every morning, hauled ice before sunrise, then came home to pack his lunch while he read at the kitchen table. She paid most of the rent, groceries, and insurance. Daniel handled smaller bills when his assistantship check arrived. Then came books, filing charges, transit passes, internship clothes, and a laptop that died before a deadline. Maya did not pay his entire tuition. She made everything around it possible. The kitchen behind Harbor Market was rented to someone else. Maya stopped looking through its narrow window. When her father's truck needed a new transmission, she sold it. Daniel found her beside the empty parking space. You loved that truck. It was rust with an engine. You still loved it. Maya shrugged and went inside. She opened a business line of credit in her own name when the stall's pipes failed. She delivered seafood orders on Sundays using Ruth's van. Later, she withdrew part of the retirement account she had started in her 20s. Tasha found the withdrawal while helping with the books. You took money out of this? I needed stock. The stock money covered the house. The house money covered Daniel. Maya closed the ledger. We're married. We don't keep score. Tasha leaned back. Then why does only one dream get to go first? A customer called before Maya had to answer. Lorraine visited most Sundays. She brought Daniel coffee and questions about grades, professors, and placements. She rarely asked Maya about the stall unless she wanted to suggest a change. He needs quiet, Lorraine said one evening as Maya set down dinner beside Daniel's books. I wasn't talking. I mean the apartment, the market calls, people dropping by. Daniel glanced up. Mom, leave it. Lorraine smoothed his sleeve. Once he starts practicing, both of you will be seen differently. A lawyer's wife has to understand presentation. The market presents me just fine. It was a good place to begin. Daniel pushed his chair back. Can we eat? Months earlier, he would have challenged his mother. Now he looked tired whenever Maya expected him to. As the bar exam approached, asking for money changed him. At first, he apologized. Later, he waited until deadlines were close and placed the notices on the table. When Maya asked whether one fee was due Friday or Monday, he snapped, I already feel awful. I don't need an audit. She stared at him until he looked away. 2 weeks before his preparation course began, Maya found him asleep over an open book. A payment notice was trapped beneath his arm. That same afternoon, the market manager called. The small kitchen would open again in the fall. He would hold it until Friday if Maya paid a deposit. Thursday night, she placed an envelope beside Daniel's coffee. He counted the money. Where did you get this? I had it put aside. For the kitchen? Maya wiped a wet ring from the table. Daniel pushed the envelope back. No. You're taking it. I'm not taking that from you. Then borrow it. With what promise? She looked at the books around him. That I won't regret believing you. Daniel covered her cracked hands with his. I'll become somebody worthy of this. Months later, his call came while Maya was unloading crabs. I passed. She sat down on an overturned bucket. Ruth saw her face and shouted across the aisle. Harbor Market just put a lawyer through the bar. Tongs struck counters. Vendors cheered. Maya laughed until she cried. Daniel stayed on the phone through the noise. This belongs to both of us, he said. At his swearing-in ceremony, Maya wore the best dress she owned. Lorraine adjusted Daniel's tie, then guided Maya aside when the photographer called the new attorneys together. Let him take one with the legal crowd first. Maya stepped away. Daniel saw her beneath the courthouse lights. He hesitated. Then the photographer raised the camera, and Daniel turned toward the people in suits. Daniel's first job was with a downtown firm that handled property disputes and business contracts. For the first few weeks, he came home almost buoyant. He handed Maya his first paycheck before taking off his jacket. You keep it, she said. No, you kept me standing long enough to earn it. He bought her black leather shoes she would never have chosen. They pinched at the toes. But Maya wore them to church because he watched her face when she opened the box. He also started talking about Harbor Table again. Give me a little time, he said. We'll find a real space. Better than that kitchen behind the market. Maya believed him. Then the office began following Daniel home. He mentioned which neighborhoods the partners lived in, where their children went to school, and the clubs where clients were entertained. He noticed how often colleagues described their spouses by profession. He noticed, too, How carefully some people edited the poorer parts of their past. At dinner one night, he repeated something a senior partner had told him. Clients hire the whole person. That's what he said. Maya set down the serving spoon. What does that mean? I guess they want confidence. Stability. The right impression. You have all that. Daniel smiled, but did not answer. His suits became sharper. His hair changed. He replaced his old briefcase even though the lock still worked. When Maya said, "Ask," the way she always had, he corrected her once, then again. The third time, she stared at him. I know what word I said. I'm only helping. Help me when I ask. He also stopped inviting anyone from work to Harbor Market. One Friday, Maya closed early and packed crab soup and 2 crab cakes. She changed into the green dress Daniel once said made her look bright. At the firm, the receptionist glanced at the food bag. Do you have an appointment? No, I'm his wife. The answer came easily. Maya still liked saying it. A few minutes later, Daniel appeared beside a glass conference room. 2 attorneys walked with him, still discussing a case. His face changed when he saw her. She lifted the bag. Surprise. One attorney smiled. Daniel, who's this? There was a pause, small enough for anyone else to miss. Daniel adjusted his cuff. She's someone I know from my old neighborhood. She brought lunch. The bag handles cut into Maya's fingers. The attorney nodded. That's kind of you. Maya handed Daniel the food. You're busy, she said. Maya, wait. I have to get back. She walked past the receptionist without looking at her. That evening, Daniel found the crab cakes untouched in the refrigerator. I was trying to avoid a whole conversation, he said. Maya stood at the sink, washing a clean plate. What conversation? People ask questions. Where we met, what you do, where we live. And which answer were you scared of? Don't do that. She turned off the water. When you needed somewhere to study, my apartment was our home. When you needed money, I was your wife. When you needed somebody to believe you, I was family. I know. But at your office, I'm somebody from the neighborhood. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. I'm sorry, okay? I handled it badly. The apology landed like a receipt pushed across a counter. He wanted the matter closed. The next morning, Lorraine arrived before breakfast was finished. Daniel had already told her enough. You have to understand the pressure he's under, she said. Those firms judge everything. Maya looked at Daniel. Everything? Lorraine pinched the sleeve of the green dress hanging over a chair. And these market clothes carry a smell. Sweetheart, you may not notice it anymore. Daniel kept his eyes on his coffee. Mom didn't mean anything by it. Maya waited for more. Nothing came. Later, she hung the dress at the back of the closet. A drop from the lunch bag had dried on the hardwood, leaving a faint briny smell. Daniel passed through, stopped, and opened the window. That kind of smell sticks around, he said. Maya looked at his back and wondered what exactly he was trying to air out. Maya enrolled in a night course on bookkeeping and small business management at a community college across town. Harbor Fresh was still busy, but the vendor balance grew faster than the cash in its account. Her paper ledgers told her what she owed without showing where the profit kept disappearing. She wanted numbers that could warn her before another emergency chose for her. Twice a week, she closed Harbor Fresh an hour early, scrubbed her hands until the brine faded, and carried a borrowed laptop into a classroom above the library. She learned to replace her paper ledgers with accounting software, price delivery routes, and prepare a permit application for a small kitchen. At the top of every assignment, she typed the same working name, Harbor Table. When she showed Daniel her first cash flow forecast, he loosened his tie without looking at the screen. That's good, Maya. Really, I'm wiped out. She waited while he opened his work email. My presentation is next Thursday. Put it on the calendar. It is. He nodded, already reading something else. At the firm, Daniel had been assigned to a commercial property case with Vanessa Cole. She spoke quietly in meetings and never rushed to fill a silence. Senior attorneys stopped talking when she began. She entered conference rooms as though no one's approval was required, and Daniel watched how easily the room made space for her. After reviewing Daniel's draft, she tapped one paragraph. You write well. This part sounds like you're trying to win an argument with somebody who isn't in the room. Daniel gave a short laugh. Maybe I am. Keep the force. Lose the heat. People trust control. He rewrote the paragraph that afternoon. Over drinks with the case team, he told Vanessa that Maya did not understand the demands of his work. He said the market followed him home through calls, debts, and emergencies. He said Maya questioned every late meeting and resisted every change. Vanessa knew only the marriage he described. She did not know whose money had kept the lights on while he studied. The following week, Harbor Fresh's refrigeration system failed before noon. The temperature display climbed while 6 cases of seafood sat inside. Maya called the repair company. Then Daniel. His phone went to voicemail twice. Ruth called Isaiah. He arrived with 2 workers and a refrigerated truck. They moved the seafood case by case while Maya checked temperatures and signed a transfer sheet with shaking fingers. Within 40 minutes, the inventory was safe. Send me the invoice, she told Isaiah. I can pay part today. We'll handle it as business. Storage, fuel, labor, normal terms. Thank you. I mean it. I'm sorry Ruth dragged you into this. Isaiah shut the truck door harder than necessary. You don't have to apologize every time life gets heavy. Maya folded the transfer sheet. I'm married. I know. I don't want you thinking. I'm not standing here waiting for your marriage to collapse. His voice stayed level. I'm also not going to pretend the way he treats you is normal. Maya looked toward Ruth's stall. When she turned back, Isaiah had stepped away. For the next several days, he sent delivery updates through Tasha and kept every conversation with Maya brief. Daniel began attending client receptions with Vanessa. He came home later, carrying stories about her arguments, her contacts, and the way she handled senior partners. On the morning of Maya's class presentation, she left her business plan beside his coffee. That night, Daniel entered after 10. How did it go? She asked. The meeting? Vanessa saved us from a terrible settlement. Maya closed the folder before he noticed it. Lorraine arrived Sunday and found Maya updating delivery costs at the kitchen table. You're taking classes so you can keep selling fish? So I can grow the business. Daniel can support you now. Sell the stall. Find something cleaner. Maya's fingers stopped over the keyboard. That stall isn't what I do because I ran out of choices. It fed this family. Lorraine's mouth tightened. There's no need for that tone. Daniel looked up from his phone. Don't challenge my mother. Maya closed the laptop. I'm not challenging her. I'm done bowing. Daniel stared at her as if the woman across the table had entered without permission. Long after Maya went to bed, the laptop's blue light remained under the kitchen door. Daniel sat alone, scrolling through listings for luxury apartments downtown. Daniel began coming home after Maya had gone to bed. She tried once more before she stopped calling it patience. She made her father's crab soup, the dish Daniel used to eat straight from the pot during law school. By 9, a skin had formed across the surface. He arrived close to 11 and set his briefcase beside the door. I already ate. Maya turned off the burner. We need help. With what? Our marriage. I found a counselor who has evening appointments. Daniel exhaled through his nose. I don't have time to sit in a room and be blamed for an hour. Is there someone else? No. Vanessa? She's my colleague. He answered quickly, then reached for his phone. Do you want her? Daniel looked at the dark screen. I'm not doing this. You never answer the part that matters. I answered you. Maya pressed both palms against the counter. I can't keep living with someone who sees me as the thing blocking the door. He picked up his briefcase. Every conversation with you turns into a trial. The next morning, Maya opened Harbor Fresh on less than 2 hours of sleep. She mislabeled an order, dropped a scoop of ice, and finally walked behind the cold storage room before anyone could ask if she was all right. She sat on an overturned crate and covered her face. Footsteps slowed nearby. Isaiah placed a bottle of water on the concrete several feet from her. He sat against the opposite wall. He did not touch her or ask her to explain. Maya's breathing had begun to settle when Daniel appeared at the end of the passage. His gaze moved from her swollen face to Isaiah. So this is what happens here. Isaiah stood. Nothing happened. I wasn't talking to you. Maya wiped her cheeks. You didn't even ask why I'm crying. He's always waiting, isn't he? Every broken freezer, every problem, every time you decide I've failed you. Daniel. You brought me back here just to remind me who I used to be. Your friends watch me like I owe this market my blood. Now you sit behind a storage room with him and make me look like a fool. Isaiah stepped away from the wall. Maya raised one hand, stopping him. Daniel had not asked a single question. He had arrived carrying the answer he wanted. I found another place, he said. The passage went quiet except for the compressor humming behind them. When? I signed the lease last week. Last week? A condo downtown. Maya stared at him. What did you use for the deposit? Daniel's jaw shifted. The savings account. The account he had told her was rebuilding Harbor Table. Isaiah turned and walked out of the passage, leaving them alone. Maya's voice dropped. Are you leaving me because you saw me crying beside another man? Or did you need a man standing here so you wouldn't have to admit you left me a long time ago? Daniel said nothing. At home, he packed 2 suitcases and the navy garment bag that held his best suits. Maya stood in the bedroom doorway as hangers clicked across the closet rod. This marriage has been dead for months, he said. No, you killed it a little at a time, then called the body evidence. His hand stopped on the zipper. A moment later, it continued. He left the house key on the dresser and carried the suitcases downstairs. Several weeks later, at 6:20 in the morning, a process server entered Harbor Market and placed Daniel's divorce complaint in Maya's hands. She read the allegations at the counter. Then she reached his request for possession of their home. Until that line, she had believed Daniel wanted a life without her. Now she understood he wanted to leave carrying everything that could remember who had helped him become Daniel Carter. Attorney at law. Ruth called Elena Brooks before Maya finished reading the petition. Elena had practiced family law for nearly 20 years and bought blue crabs from Harbor Market often enough to know which vendors added ice after weighing. She arrived that afternoon in a gray suit, accepted a folding chair behind the counter, and read every page twice. Daniel can ask for a divorce, she said. You can't make him remain married. Maya's fingers tightened around a paper cup. But he cannot invent a version of your life and use it to gain a financial advantage. If he wants the court to believe you were reckless, we answer with records. I remember every bill I paid. Memory starts the search. Documents finish it. Maya looked toward the display case. I can't afford a lawyer like him. Elena named a reduced retainer and divided the remainder into monthly payments. I'm not taking this for free, she said. You'll be my client, and the decision stay yours. The arrangement cost more than Maya wanted and less than she feared. She signed it. At home that night, Maya opened the closet Daniel had left half empty. The green dress brushed her shoulder as she reached for a storage box on the upper shelf. Inside were old receipts, canceled checks, and envelopes marked with school deadlines. She sat on the floor until midnight, arranging the years into piles. For the next several days, Harbor Fresh's back office became an evidence room. Tasha sorted bank statements and household bills by date. She matched bar application receipts to messages in which Daniel had asked Maya to cover them. Maya found the sale record for her father's truck, the retirement withdrawal, the market debt ledger, and years of mortgage payments. Ruth walked stall to stall collecting names and dates from vendors who had extended Maya credit. Isaiah delivered copies of invoices, delivery schedules, refrigeration charges, and their business messages. He left the folder with Tasha instead of waiting for Maya. Every debt carried Maya's name or a lawful signature. Nothing had been opened under Daniel's identity. Elena read the files at her office while Maya sat across from her. His complaint paints you as financially irresponsible, Elena said. We don't respond by painting you as perfect. I never said I was. Good. Tell me what he can use. Maya studied a scratch in the conference table. I hid how bad the stall debt got. From Daniel? Yes. I didn't lie when he asked. I made sure he didn't ask. Elena wrote that down. I withdrew savings without a real discussion. The account was mine, but we were married. He should have known. What else? Maya's mouth went dry. I let him depend on me too long. That is not misconduct. No, but I knew I was disappearing. I kept going because if I stopped, then maybe everything I had already given up meant nothing. Elena's pen paused, then continued. Weeks passed. Elena answered the complaint, requested financial disclosures, and compared Daniel's filings with the statements Maya had brought. One transfer stood apart from the ordinary bills. It had left the joint account before Daniel confronted Maya behind the cold storage room. The recipient matched the management company for the downtown condo. The amount covered the security deposit, advance rent, and fees. Maya stared at the date. He planned it before Isaiah was there. Yes. Elena placed the condo documents beside Daniel's allegation that Maya could not manage money. He's asking the court to see you as financially irresponsible. Meanwhile, he used marital funds to prepare a life without you. Daniel's signature sat at the bottom of the payment authorization, clean and familiar. The paper felt solid beneath her palm, steadier than memory and harder for Daniel to dismiss. Maya traced its shape without touching the paper. Since the morning she was served, anger had arrived in flashes, always followed by grief. This time, the grief did not take over. She closed the folder and looked at Elena. Then we let the documents tell the rest. Vanessa learned about the divorce because Daniel left Maya's response on a conference room table. She had come for notes on their property case. The top page carried Maya's name and a list of financial exhibits. Daniel returned before Vanessa read further and pulled the folder toward him. You told me she filed nothing but accusations, Vanessa said. She's trying to turn every payment into ownership of my career. Over the previous weeks, Daniel had described a wife who contributed little, resented his success, and became involved with her supplier. He had spoken of law school as a climb he made largely alone and the house as something his work had secured. The exhibits visible beneath his hand suggested another history. Tuition receipts carried Maya's account number. Mortgage records began before Daniel's first legal paycheck. A separate page traced joint money to the condo he had already occupied. Vanessa folded her arms. Did you ever see Maya and Isaiah in a romantic relationship? Daniel looked toward the glass wall. Did you? He was always around. That isn't an answer. She cried in front of him. Everybody in that market knew they were close. Vanessa waited. Daniel never said yes. My mother saw what the marriage was doing to me. He added, she always said you understood the life I'm building. Vanessa's expression changed. Why was your mother discussing me as part of your life? Daniel pushed the folder into his briefcase. She notices things. What did you let her believe? He reached for the clasp and missed it once. Vanessa stepped back from the table. You didn't leave a wife who betrayed you. You created one so you wouldn't have to admit you were ashamed of her. That's unfair. From now on, we discuss clients, deadlines, and assigned work, nothing else. She left before he could explain again. Lorraine arrived at Maya's house 2 evenings later carrying no food and offering no greeting beyond her name. You should stop fighting him over the house, she said. This is becoming ugly. Maya remained beside the dining table. Through the open window came traffic, a distant horn, and the faint mineral smell that followed her home from the market. It became ugly before I hired a lawyer. He is still my son. And I was still his wife when you helped him treat me like something stuck to his shoe. Lorraine's purse slid from her lap to the floor. Why did you always look down on me? Maya asked. What did I ever do to you? For once, Lorraine did not answer quickly. She had once owned a small tailoring shop, 3 machines, 1 cutting table, and customers who waited weeks for her dresses. Daniel's father persuaded her to sell it and invest in a plan he promised would lift the family. The plan failed. He died with debts still arriving and Daniel still young. Lorraine cleaned offices before sunrise, worked a cafeteria line during the day, and altered clothes at night. When I watched you paying for Daniel, she said, I saw that shop leaving me again. So you punished me for reminding you of yourself. Lorraine pressed her lips together. Yes. You knew what it felt like when a man used his dream to take your life. You should have been the first person to see me disappearing. I should have. The answer quieted the room more than an argument would have. Lorraine picked up her purse. I put fear in him. I taught him to treat struggle like a stain. He still chose what he did. I won't ask you to take him back. At the door, she turned. I'm sorry I helped him believe your love was something to hide. Later that night, Lorraine went to the condo. Daniel opened the door but did not invite her farther than the entryway. Vanessa shut me out because of what you put in my head, he said. Lorraine's face tightened. I planted fear in you, she replied. You watered it with pride. The final settlement conference lasted less than an hour before Daniel's position became clear. His attorney slid a proposal across the table. Maya would keep Harbor Fresh, including its outstanding debts. Daniel would receive most of the equity in the house. Neither spouse would seek support from the other. The final paragraph required Maya to refrain from publicly discussing her financial contributions to Daniel's education or early career. Elena read it, then passed it to Maya. Daniel sat across from her without meeting her eyes. Maya placed one finger on the final paragraph. Take this out. Daniel finally looked up. Why? Are you planning to embarrass me? I don't need to embarrass you. I'm also not signing something that says those years never happened. It doesn't say that. It says I have to act like they didn't. His attorney requested a private conference. Daniel refused to change the language. The case proceeded to a bench trial. Elena presented bank statements showing Maya had covered most household expenses while Daniel attended law school. The sale of her father's truck and the retirement withdrawal aligned with tuition, bar preparation, and examination costs. Messages from Daniel referred to those payments as sacrifices and promised that Maya's business would come next. Mortgage records showed that Maya contributed substantially to the down payment and continued paying the loan before and after Daniel began practicing. The market ledgers showed vendors extending credit during the same months those major payments came due. Harbor Fresh's books also separated Isaiah's invoices, refrigeration charges, delivery schedules, and ordinary business messages from Maya's personal accounts. No hidden account, unlawful loan, or romantic payment appeared among them. Then Elena introduced the transfer from the joint account to the condo's management company. Daniel's attorney challenged how Maya characterized several payments. Elena let the records answer. She did not claim Maya owned Daniel's law degree or future income. She asked the court to recognize what Maya had contributed to the household and marital property. Isaiah's testimony took less than 15 minutes. Did you have a romantic or sexual relationship with Maya during her marriage? Elena asked. No. Why did you move 6 cases of seafood from Harbor Fresh? The refrigeration system failed. Ruth called me. I had access to a refrigerated truck. Were you paid? I invoiced the business. What happened after you realized Maya's marriage was in trouble? I kept my distance. Deliveries went through Tasha whenever possible. Did Daniel ever ask what happened behind the cold storage room? No. On cross-examination, Daniel's attorney asked whether Isaiah cared about Maya. Isaiah adjusted his hands on the witness rail. I respected her. That didn't make us lovers. Elena's questions for Daniel were shorter. You knew Maya sold her father's truck while you were in law school? Yes. You knew she withdrew retirement savings? Yes. You called those payments sacrifices in your messages? Daniel glanced toward his attorney. Yes. You alleged an inappropriate relationship between Maya and Isaiah. Did you ever see them kiss? No. Embrace? No. Touch each other intimately? No. Elena placed the condo lease beside the refrigeration transfer sheet. You signed this lease before or after the day you saw them talking? The courtroom remained still. Before, Daniel said. Elena sat down. The judge issued the decision after reviewing the evidence. The marriage was dissolved. The allegation of an improper relationship was not proven. Daniel's use of joint funds for the condo was included in the property accounting. The court recognized Maya's monetary and non-monetary contributions without treating Daniel's professional future as property she owned. Maya received full ownership of Harbor Fresh and responsibility for its legitimate business debts. She could retain the house through a fair buyout of Daniel's remaining interest, offset by other marital assets and the funds used for the condo. The remaining financial award was substantial enough to be fair and limited enough to reflect the actual estate. Maya did not feel victorious when the judge finished. Her knees trembled as she stood, and Elena waited while she gathered the folders that had carried 7 years into the courtroom. In the hallway, Tasha and Ruth moved toward her. Isaiah remained farther back near the elevators. Daniel stood alone beside a row of wooden benches. Maya. She stopped. For several seconds, she kept her back to him. Maya turned after Daniel said her name. Elena, Tasha, and Ruth continued toward the elevators. Isaiah stayed where he was, giving her room to decide. Daniel's tie hung loose. He looked smaller without a courtroom waiting to hear him. Can we talk for a minute? You have one. He glanced at the folders in her arms. Vanessa wants nothing personal to do with me. My mother won't defend what I did. The condo is? He swallowed. It's empty, Maya, even when I'm there. She waited. I took everything I hated about where I came from and turned it against you. You were the person who stayed. And I punished you because you remembered me before the suits and the office. Daniel stepped closer. You were my real home. Let me come back. We can start over. Maya felt the old reflex rise inside her, the urge to rescue him before measuring the cost to herself. I was your home when you still had the chance to live there. You remembered the way back after every other door closed. I can change. I hope you do. Then give me a chance. Your change isn't my responsibility anymore. His face tightened. So you'll never forgive me? I will. I don't want to carry you as anger for the rest of my life. Maya adjusted the folders against her chest. Forgiving you doesn't mean becoming your wife again. She walked toward the elevators before he found another argument. Outside the courthouse, Isaiah waited beside the steps. You all right? He asked. No. He nodded once. Maya looked toward the traffic. I need to learn how to live by myself without treating being alone like I failed. I understand. I don't know how long that takes. I'm not asking for a date. A tired laugh escaped her. Isaiah opened the courthouse door when Tasha called her name, then let Maya walk through first. 9 months later, Harbor Table opened beside an expanded Harbor Fresh. The delivery system she designed in class now served 3 neighborhoods, and the kitchen permit hung behind the register. The buyout was complete. The house remained Maya's, though the new kitchen mattered more that morning. Steam clouded the front window while crab soup simmered in her father's dented pot. Crab cakes browned on the griddle, and customers filled every chair before noon. On one wall, Maya hung a photograph of the original stall. Beside it were the blue apron she had worn the morning she received Daniel's petition and the first handwritten Harbor Table plan she had once placed behind someone else's future. Lorraine arrived alone. She did not ask Maya to forgive her again. She bought a bowl of soup, took a seat in the corner, and watched the kitchen move around Maya's voice. Daniel did not come. Isaiah arrived near closing with a narrow wooden frame. Inside it, carved in small letters, were the words, built by hands that never stopped working. Maya ran her thumb over the wood, then hung it beside her father's photograph. Want to walk along the harbor? Isaiah asked. Maya checked the empty tables and the cooling griddle. Give me 5 minutes. They left without a kiss or a promise. They walked beside each other while the harbor lights moved across the water. Maya looked down at her hands. The cracks had faded but had not disappeared. She no longer folded her fingers inward to hide them. Later, she returned and locked Harbor Table for the night. Seafood, butter, and spice still warmed the air inside. Daniel had believed success meant escaping the place where he began. Maya understood it differently now. She would never again be ashamed of the hands that had kept her standing.